Hello Themeparkineers, welcome to our new series Row Riders, where we will be looking at various roller coasters, riding every single row from the front to the back, and giving you our opinions on which row or rows you should request for the best ride. On roller coasters, not all rows are created equally. They're all different. They've all got their unique identity that sets them apart from the others, which makes them relatively better or possibly worse than their counterparts. Today, we are going to give you our opinions on the best rows for Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind at EPCOT. Before we dive in, if you've never experienced Cosmic Rewind, you need to head out to EPCOT and ride it. You're also going to need to understand the seating arrangement. On Cosmic Rewind, there are 5 cars per train. Each car has 2 rows, and each car spins independently of one another on a pre-programmed path that allows you to see the various show elements throughout Cosmic Rewind. For those of you who are familiar with Cosmic Rewind and the current boarding groups that it uses, you may be asking how we're able to compare all 10 rows directly when you can only ride this coaster a maximum of twice per day. Well, in a normal operating day, that would be accurate. However, for certain special events, the park will allow multiple re-rides with no boarding group necessary. We were lucky enough to be invited by some cast member friends to their special cast member appreciation night called Iridescent Evening, where we got to ride Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind 10 times in a row, row by row. We believe that this was the best and only way to give an accurate account of the best versus the worst by completing all rides in a quick succession. In between each ride, we had about a 20-minute buffer due to the pre-show elements. But this gave us time for us to gather our thoughts, rank each ride as it was completed, and of course get ready to experience the dawn of time. And as standard for all of these top 10 videos, just a quick disclaimer, these are fully based on my opinions of the rides I experienced on Cosmic Rewind during the Iridescent Evening. If you disagree with me, please let me know what your favorite row is so I can give it another ride. With all that said, we hope you're ready to sit down, pull down your lap bar, and get ready for the top 10 rows on Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. Coming in at the 10th place spot, we have row 7. In this row, you simply just exist on the ride. It's not forceful, it's nothing special, but it's still a great ride on Cosmic Rewind. Great because it's Cosmic Rewind, of course. You aren't necessarily in a prime spot for the visuals at the beginning of the ride due to the riders being in front of you. You are in the front of your individual car, giving better views for the show elements throughout the rest of the ride. But with the lack of overall forces, this row certainly seems to be lacking the wow factor that the other rows do. To give some examples of moments that feel forceless, the turn into the first brake run, the drop after the overhead projection, and the off-axis hill before the Milky Way is formed. In all ways to ride Cosmic Rewind, row 7 was our least favorite when compared to the other rows. Coming in at number 9, we have row 10. This row is just there as well. It's not overly forceful at any particular moment, and it feels like the rotation is actively working against the forces of the ride. While there are some forceful sections, those are few and far between. The forceful moments are only truly sections where there is a focal point, such as the moon, the Milky Way, or the Earth at the end of the ride. For the back row on a roller coaster, you would assume that it's the most forceful, but somehow this row isn't even close to meeting that expectation. Coming in the 8th place spot, we have row 4. This row is the most suitable for younger riders. It's a great place to start as it's in the middle of the train and it isn't as scary as the front or the back might be to a child. The show elements will most likely be blocked by riders ahead of you, so there's no shame if you happen to close your eyes. No element hits overly intense and the motions feel more gentle. By no means am I calling it forceless, boring, or bad, but it just doesn't compare to the rows above as it lacks sheer intensity or show elements that the other rows feature. If you prefer a less intense ride but still want to experience Cosmic Rewind, this is a great place to start. Coming in 7th place, we have row number 2. Though you are behind the much adored first row, the element of speed feels artificial here. The wind blows in your face, but only indirectly as you spin throughout the ride. Any brake run where the train is facing forward, you won't get that feeling of wind. It's certainly intense, but the spinning feels out of place here as you're too far ahead for some of the show elements to fully enjoy and observe them. and that's assuming you're able to see them. You are unfortunately blocked by the riders ahead of you for all of the show scenes, which just diminishes the experience of riding through the Big Bang. Coming in at number 6, we have row 3. The third row is a timeless ride, pun intended. It provides slight airtime on the transitions at the beginning and the end of the ride. The drop after the overhead projection in this row does not provide as much force as the other rows do, and the middle of the ride is much more tame from that section until the moon. The spinning seems to feel the most natural in this row, as it's not overly intense, nor is it forceless, but seems to flow with the movements of the track more so than any other row. This is the cause of the forcelessness in that middle section of the ride. However, in this row you also have the bonus of seeing the show scenes up front, which puts it above row 4. Cracking the top 5, we have row number 6. This row may sound disappointing, as no one prefers the middle of the train, and it's usually the most forceless. However, on Cosmic Rewind, for some strange reason, row 6 takes all of those norms and throws them away. It's certainly an enjoyable ride with stronger laterals and less airtime. This is sustained throughout the ride as you are the central point for all show elements, and the ride is constantly pivoting you to view them. With that said, you are also blocked from seeing most of them with the riders in front of you, and the lack of airtime does put it below the rows higher on this list, but it is certainly a great row to ride. If there's no one in front of you, enjoy the views from the row ahead, and just keep in mind we haven't brought up row 5 yet. Coming in at number 4, we have row 8. Now this is the row for any roller coaster enthusiast. Every element is more forceful, the airtime hits a bit more flowjector, and the laterals are more intense throughout the whole ride. The best moment on the ride in this row is undoubtedly the off-axis airtime hill after the helix around the moon, as you enjoy floating through space with the music going full blast. If you've ridden the ride several times and are over the show elements, this row is your best bet, as it's got the intensity, just not the looks. As a bonus, in this row, if you look around and the dispatches are just right, you'll be able to see other trains and some of the near misses that you normally aren't able to see in the darkness. Personally, this is the row that I tend to prefer now, but if you're only getting a single ride, you don't want to miss the show elements. Cracking the top 3, we've got row number 9. This is for the enthusiasts who are willing to sacrifice some forces for a better show quality. You are able to see show elements, the trains, and everything as you go through the course. The forces are not as extreme as they are in row 8 due to the fact that you're also with row 10, but with that said, row 9 feels much more intense than row 10 for the simple fact that you can see the show elements, giving an illusion of speed and intensity throughout the ride. The main reason this is above row 8 is the novelty of being at the front of that backwards launch and experiencing the Big Bang as close as possible, while also being able to enjoy the launch track for every foot the LSMs are worth. Coming in at the number 2 spot is my old favorite, row 1. This row is a true roller coaster experience. The wind blows in your face, you get to feel the spinning element a lot more as it's forcing you to properly view all the show elements, and the intense spin and sense of speed provide a fun, thrilling, and enjoyable ride. Although you may be missing the exact lineup for the show elements, nothing beats the sense of speed you get in row 1, as it's the only row where you truly feel the wind in your face while you jam out to whatever song you get. In this row, you are also slightly able to see some of the track and watch as you lead the adventure through your ride. You feel like the main character, and you feel like you are an official Guardian of the Galaxy. And the best row on Cosmic Rewind is row 5. This row has the strongest forces, from the sense of spin, to the laterals, to the airtime. Although it lacks the sheer sense of speed, it certainly provides a wild ride for any thrill seeker. Where row 6 seems to feel a bit behind the action, due to its placement on the rotation giving it more lateral forces, the front of the car is able to translate some of those laterals to airtime on a majority of the transitions throughout the ride. A huge highlight for row 5 is the sequence after the overhead projection as you go through a jump point and into the Milky Way galaxy. The off-axis airtime moment before the jump point provides airtime and your car begins to rotate left. When you land back in your seat from the airtime, You are given strong positives and laterals as you are zooming by the focal point of the Milky Way. Not to mention, this row is also the central point for all of the projections. The sequence after the first brake run where you are synced up with the Milano, flying through space and being tossed around your seat, getting airtime on the transitions and positives in the turns, is nothing short of a masterfully crafted ride experience. This moment alone sells row 5, but the extra forces just makes it all an added bonus. If it's your first time on Cosmic Rewind, we highly recommend this row for the best first time experience, as you're at the center of all the action and constantly being spun around crazily to hit all the show elements. Well, it looks like we've been on every row in the galaxy. We hope you enjoyed our ranking of the rows on Cosmic Rewind. If you disagreed with any of these, leave a comment on your favorite row. But before you try row 5 for yourselves, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you can be here for our future videos. We hope you enjoyed your ride with the Themeparkineers, and as always, keep on riding on.